Hey, what's up, Hey, entrepreneurial moms and dads. Marianne Hickman here with another episode of the Marianne Hickman Show. And today we've got none other than my husband, Richard, and myself walking you through how to find balance as an entrepreneurial mom and as an entrepreneurial dad. We know that your schedules are jam-packed and you only have 24 hours in a day, just like anybody else. And today we talk and get real about what it's like to get everything in and prioritize accordingly. And here's a spoiler alert. It's not about balance. It's not about harmony. So stay tuned. And also, if you want a copy of my sales book, we talk about it in today's podcast. I want to give you a free copy. The download link is in the description of the podcast, so stay tuned. Okay, so I have a question.
Okay.
So when we met, I don't know if you knew what you were getting into.
Absolutely not.
Would you still have said yes?
To meeting you?
To like marrying me?
I'm confused.
Yeah. So would you still have said yes if you knew what all of this crazy was going to happen?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, I wasn't worried about that answer. But I knew what you were going to say. So when we first met, you saw my Instagram. You had some beautiful things to say. And then you did. You were so kind. And then we did this big event together. I don't know if you'd ever been to seminars before. Had you ever been to like seminars or like conventions or?
I mean, cybersecurity conventions and stuff
totally
like that. Yeah, no, nothing like UFD. I had never been to anything like that.
Like a live action. How would you describe it?
I mean, it's a seminar, but it has a lot more. I had never been to a personal growth seminar.
Okay.
I had been to plenty of seminars and conferences that were all about education and teaching, and even some that got a little exciting at times. Nothing like UFD, but I'd never been to one that was a personal growth and mindset conference. That
Okay.
the most I'd ever dove into anything like that was just reading some quote unquote self-help
Which you
books, which I was into.
Really good books, by the way.
I've read some really good books. Calm down, puppies.
So, so here's my question. So, when we were at that event and I was up on stage, there was part of me that was like, "Oh my gosh, what is he gonna think?" Because we weren't even engaged yet; we were just dating.
Yeah, we were just dating
when we came to the first one, and I was kind of nervous. I remember I approached you after I got off. I was like down in the audience, and I was like, "So, how you doing? Like, is this okay?" What was going through your head?
I was just like, man, this is not what I expected, but I mean, whatever. They're not sacrificing chickens, so let's just keep going and see what happens. That's kind of what I thought.
Really?
They're not doing anything crazy, so let's just keep going and see what happens.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So, this is building up to a big question of what is it that, now that we've been at a lot of events, people recognize you and they're like, they know we're married and stuff. What is the number one question people ask you about us?
They don't ask me about us.
They don't?
No.
No? What do they say?
They just want my help with like 7-figure hustle, or they just want my help with property or something. Like they know that I do it. They know that I'm in it, and they just want my help.
Yeah. Like, how did you do this?
They just know that I'm another resource to go to for help.
That's cool.
Not very many people ask me about, like, they'll compliment you and they'll say how lucky I am to be with someone like you, but no one asks me what it's like.
Really?
Not that I recall, no. I mean, every once in a while, maybe someone will ask, like, oh, what's it like being with someone that's that high energy all the time? I'll be like, it's pretty great, actually.
Exhausting.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Maybe sometimes.
Yeah. I own it.
But I'm exhausting too. I know it. I'm not dumb.
So I wanted to talk today about entrepreneurship as far as parenthood, because we're recording this podcast right now while our baby is asleep. Like,
yep.
we are getting, like, let's set up the lights, let's do makeup, let's get in an episode.
She's in makeup.
You correct.
I'm not wearing any makeup.
Let's do my makeup.
I didn't even shave.
I envy that sometimes. Like, I'm in the bathroom plucking hairs. And you're like, meh, I'll just throw on a hat. It'll be fine. I did ask you to change, though.
Yeah, I was wearing a hoodie. You said put on a nicer shirt.
It's like a thinner hoodie. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
I envy that so much. It's fine. I'm party on the bottom. I'm wearing my fluffy socks. But, so we're recording this while the baby is sleeping.
Yeah.
What do you think is the hardest thing about entrepreneurship and parenthood?
I would say finding that balance between I have a million things on my to-do list, and the most important one is spending time with my kids, and that's not like a to-do list item, right?
Yeah, you don't like check that off.
No,
and
but
be like, okay, we're done.
that's something that needs to be done, and I want to, but at the same time, I feel so behind all the time and feel the drive and need to just keep grinding all the time.
Yeah.
That it's hard to take a step back and just be like, okay, I'm gonna shut my brain off from this thing that drives my life, and I'm gonna go relax. That is the hardest part.
Is it the relaxing that's hard, or actually choosing to relax that's hard?
That's a good question. I would say both, because even when I choose to relax, it's hard. My brain is still going. I have to fight every bit of me to be able to just keep my phone away and not just kind of like, oh, I could kind of keep doing some things.
Sneak in a notification.
I could keep doing a little bit of work on my phone while we're playing a game. It's not my turn. I could totally do something right now,
Yeah.
And that temptation to not be fully present is there all the time.
Yeah. And I think I have related to that for sure, and I know a lot of our listeners have too, because there's this there's this desire to be addicted to productivity.
Oh yeah.
If I'm playing a card game, that's not productive.
No, and it feels
that's not
lazy.
a revenue generating activity or whatever.
It feels lazy.
It does.
I feel bad, but it feels lazy to just spend time with the kids.
It's
like
I can feel like I don't want to say that out loud, but it's like
it tastes bad coming out of my mouth saying that, but
there's a reason for
I
that.
guarantee you there are entrepreneurs out there that feel the same way.
Absolutely.
And they don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do about it. I'm just like dealing with it just the same.
Yeah.
It's like,
day to day.
All right, let's just keep going.
Yeah. What happens when you do put the phone away and be totally present?
Yeah, it's always great. It's always rewarding.
I'll never forget this. So we have this tradition that honestly we've gotten kind of lax on, but it's a really worthwhile tradition to really get back into, is spending a date night with each one of our kids one night a week.
Yeah.
And that's our favorite way to connect. And sometimes it is just playing video games, and sometimes it is playing a card game. Sometimes we say, okay, no screens for one-on-one time, and we're just going to connect. I like to interview the kids sometimes, and because I'm collecting data all the time, right? I like to ask the kids, what is your favorite memory with dad? What is your favorite memory with mom? What is your favorite memory as a family? And that one time, do you remember Addie's response? So I said, what is your favorite memory with dad? And the favorite memory was just sitting on the porch together.
Just sitting on the porch, doing nothing, just goofing off.
I think we were taking pictures of each other with our phones and like...
with weird filters and stuff.
Yeah. And like capturing... And she does this thing where she zooms in on the really terrible faces and like saves them as the profile pictures. Like... that's a moment you couldn't have if you weren't present. Yeah. Right? Like, that's a moment you couldn't have if you were like, hold on, I got to answer one more text, or hold on, I got to reply to this email, or whatever it is. Yeah. So I think it's obvious that the motivation to, when we actually put our phones away, the motivation and the payoff is there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
The payoff is there. So... what do you think is the best way to go for that payoff and to really just find that moment? You're like, okay, it doesn't have to be an hour long. It's not the quantity of time. Everyone knows this, but the practice of it is different. It's not the quantity of time. It's the quality of the time. Yeah. What makes the quality of the time worth the payoff? What are you hoping for?
I'm just hoping to connect with the kids and make it to where they don't hate me when they're adults. I want to be able to have good relationships with the kids. I missed out on so many years being a stepdad. And so trying to make the best of what I've got now, what I have left, that's what it's about for me.
When you came into the picture, I had 5 kids. And I think this story is worth telling because it's a story that makes me cry most of the time. And it leaves me in awe of the kind of person that you are. So we were both in this single dating scene in Utah, which is a nightmare in and of itself. Like, so gross. If you're in the single dating scene, we pray for you. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. And I treated it honestly like a sales thing. Like I had my pipeline and I had my, CRM of like, oh, this person flunked out.
It's very different for women and men. It's very different. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. It's very different.
I had my first contact, second contact. Nope, that's a no. Like, no.
Whereas most guys are like, can I get a first contact? Can I get someone to reply? Let's start collecting data on this one-liner. This opening line.
This AP split test.
This, how many girls responded on this versus this? Yeah.
That's awful.
You want to go down a crazy rabbit hole? Just look up Tinder reply testing on YouTube.
Oh, so there's like
there are people who have spent a lot of time testing what to say to be able to get a girl to actually respond on those dating apps and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy. There's a lot of data behind it. And yeah.
Did you use that data?
Oh yeah, sometimes. Of course. Who wouldn't? If the data's there, why wouldn't you use it?
Which makes me laugh so hard because we didn't meet over an app.
No, we didn't. That's the ironic thing.
That's the funny thing is that
we both spent so much time and energy on those stupid apps and money, so much freaking money. But I mean, that's what happens when you're a bachelor that is making good money and you got nothing else to spend your money on. It's like, okay, let's try and meet someone.
So we were both on apps, but we didn't find each other because I was outside his age filters.
And I was outside her height filters.
We never would have found each other. Ever.
Nope.
So
I was too short for her.
But you're not, in reality. And I was too old for you.
Yeah.
That's where you say.
And I always swiped left on girls with families too.
Yeah.
That's what I know. Hate me all you want. But that's
I don't though, and that's the thing.
No, that's what I was doing because in my mind I did not want. It's extremely judgmental of me, but I didn't want a single mom to start dating me because I was the stable, safe solution. Yeah. Because I owned a house and I owned multiple houses and I had a good job. I was making multiple 6 figures and all of these things where it's just like, yeah, I am the safe catch for a single mom. And I was like, I am not going to risk a single mom just coming after me because I'm the safe bet.
Yeah.
I want someone to love me for who I am.
You know who you were.
And so I just automatically said no to that for the longest time until my best friend Kyle.
Best friend Kyle. That's what we call him whenever he comes over. Best friend Kyle.
He kind of chastised me a bit, and he told me, when I was a teenager, my stepdad saved my life, and I would not be who I am today if it was not my stepdad, and you could be that for some other kid. So stop being selfish and stop ruling out those women just because they have kids. And then I met you.
Wait, how long? That long ago?
Oh, I don't know.
Like how long before we met?
Yeah, I don't know.
If I remember, we were chatting about it on the way home from the gym the other day.
Yeah.
And I think it was like months.
Oh, yeah, only a couple of months. I've been on one date with one other girl that had kids.
Yeah.
Didn't meet her kids. Excuse me.
That's okay for the first date.
Oh, yeah, no. I had been on one date with a single mom, and then and then I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was nothing short of divine timing in all of that.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot more to it than that, but
in all of that. Because when you got first introduced to, and not even me, the concept of me, right? It came through a mutual friend he just said, check out our Instagram, right?
Well, I think he was hanging out with you at the time.
He was. But
he was hanging out with you.
Put us on a 3-way text.
No, he just sent me your Instagram and said, hey, what do you think of this girl? And I responded, she seems like pretty badass. based on stalking your Instagram. But and my immediate thought too was she's way out of my league.
Oh,
But
gall.
anyway, yeah.
No. And that was like my thought too. I remember when this is a friend of ours, this guy's name is Trent. He's an incredible guy. And he came over to my house. It was the only time that him and his wife have come over for like game night or something. And I didn't have the kids that weekend. And we were just chatting. And they were just sitting on my couch in my house. And we're like, and I never will forever remember this moment when Trent turns to Esther and he's like, I wonder if we should introduce her to Richard. I think he had already sent you my Instagram at that point.
Maybe. I mean, because he sent me your Instagram. I remember it was Christmas Eve.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. Was that after Christmas?
I think it was. It was like a couple months after. Yeah. And I have to be fair, and this has nothing to do with you, but I rolled my eyes. I was like, I'm so tired of being set up. I'm so tired of this. I'm so, like, the dating world had sucked so far, and I was just like, ugh, whatever. And it was very close around that time that I said to myself, whoever I end up with is going to have to compete with me for loving me.
Yeah.
Because I had dealt with so much garbage in the past. Like, I don't want to shame any of the old, like, dates that I went on. There were some really terrible ones. There were some really good people out there that just weren't good matches, as I'm sure you encountered as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're good, but not for me, right?
Yep.
And I was so deeply impressed at what Kyle's message did to you. And I think if I were to guess, it didn't necessarily transform you, but it opened something that was already there. Because you told me once that when you got down on your knees and were looking for God to answer that prayer, it was not praying for a wife, it was praying for a family. Mm-hmm. And that impressed me so much when I heard about that. It was later on. It was like after, I think it was after we were engaged, actually, that you told me that. But I brought 5 kids to the table and you became dad overnight.
Yeah.
Like literally overnight. What was that like? Like, you just took these kids on and they called you dad. We threw you a Father's Day party.
Before we were even engaged.
That
was a little bit like, oh boy. Oh boy.
But I knew I wasn't no dummy.
This is getting a little real. Mm-hmm. These kids are throwing me a Father's Day party and we're not even engaged. I've been in the picture for 4 months?
Yeah.
Maybe?
I think barely.
No.
It was less than that.
2 months.
Yeah, April, May, June. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a little part of me that was freaking out, like, okay, mate, this is a little much, a little fast. And I almost bailed. But I didn't. I decided to stick it out. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty great to be able to jump in and be able to love those kids. And, yeah.
I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't known. I would not have put my kid's heart on the line if I didn't know for sure.
Yeah.
That's for darn sure. I don't think I would have even introduced you to him if I didn't know for sure. Because I made that mistake before.
Yeah.
And it was hard. It was hard on the kids.
Yeah.
Like, there's people coming and going after the divorce and uncertainty for them. Like, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So, as they say, it worked out.
It did. It worked out. It worked out.
So, when it comes to being a parent and being an entrepreneur, we own a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
We have that salon, and really it comes with 2 businesses because there's a salon plus the fish tanks. And we have that medical clinic over, like, they're like, 5 miles from each other. And then we have this business, and then we have some real estate that we do on the side in 2 different arms of that. Like, that's 5.
And then the marketing stuff that I do.
And then the marketing business that you have, that's 6.
Yep. And I'm sure there's others
probably
that
some
I'm
we're
not
forgetting
even
about.
thinking about.
And little side hustles here and there.
Yeah, little side hustles here and there, but that's the main thing.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
then
main stuff we've got
getting the
going.
kids started with their business. We've got a daughter that is pushing her little. I've never said that right. Arumagumi. What is it called?
I don't know.
It's like crocheted animals.
She crochets
I don't know
animals.
what it's
That's
called.
what it's called. She crochets animals.
She's so good at it. Helping her start that up. We've got our 2 youngest that are like dabbling in starting a cookie mix business, and it's just, there's a lot going on as far as like revenue generating activities, not just for us, but for our kids who we're homeschooling in their entrepreneurship classes, if you will, like trying to teach them to catch traction. What So entrepreneurship inherently comes with instability, which generally is a very repellent word for most people.
Yeah.
Why would we ever do this? We've got 6 kids. Why? Like, why wouldn't we just 9 to 5 it all the time, which we've both done?
Yeah. It's hard to explain. Entrepreneurs understand. Non-entrepreneurs don't.
But there are non-entrepreneurs that want entrepreneurship.
They do, and they kind of understand, right? They're just afraid to take the leap. But there's a desire. There's just this thing of like, I want to build and create my own thing. Mm-hmm. I don't want to work for somebody else. I want to work for me.
That moment became super clear to me back in my first marriage, because my first husband had 11 jobs in the first 10 years. And it was very unstable. It was very unstable because someone else was pulling the levers on our income. It was someone else who wrote our checks. It was someone else who made sure we had a time clock. It was someone else we had to ask for our time from before we could go anywhere or have a day off. Or like, you have to report in when you're sick to somebody and then justify not going into work, right? Yeah. Like that's what we have to do. And there was that moment when I thought to myself, okay, that's been a lot of instability as far as how many jobs have been gone through in this short of a time period. I got to do something about this. I have to do something about this. And so I actually went back to work and I started earning money to support an entrepreneurship idea. I started photography and was running my own photography business. Oh my gosh, I did that so wrong in so many ways. I had so much fun doing it, but there was dry spells where I had no clients. And then I did the Groupon thing and put my business on Groupon and got the biggest check I'd ever gotten as an entrepreneur. And I made $2,000, but I had 200 photo shoots to go on.
So you're making $100 a photo shoot.
Yeah. But then I'm taking the photos and going home and I'm up till 2 a.m. editing all the photos, doing it all on my own. And it was a beautiful problem at the time to have, because I had so many clients, but I didn't know how to get repeat clients out of those. I didn't know how to speed up my processes. And I remember I had 3 photo shoots in 1 week and I was drained like a wrung out rag. It was the hardest thing because I had to fulfill $500 worth of value for every single client and get paid peanuts to do it. I was so grateful for the big lump sum I got, but man, I wasted that. And then I got connected with a JV partnership with a bridal dress shop. I got 300 leads a week. How many of them did I close? None. For a year, because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know about email marketing. I didn't know about any of that. And I didn't close any of those leads. And I spent so much money on the business. I'm like, oh, if I do a little package for the brides, then they'll buy. Or if I put my book in the bridal shop, then they'll buy. No, you have to have relationships. And I didn't know how to forge those.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, but I wanted to. I wanted to hack the entrepreneurial code. And I feel like every week I figured something new out. I got better at it and better at it. Even still, like, I'm learning new things and implementing those things. And that's part of why I'm doing this podcast, is to help parents, especially entrepreneurial parents, get in front of the people that want them, give their stuff away, and learn how to nurture those relationships so people can get in front of their ideal customers way more often and then close the freaking deals. That's the thing that got me out of the crappy situation I was on food stamps and into a multiple 6-figure income. And I had the same thought you did when we were dating. Like, but it was kind of a reflection of the same thought, because when I was dating, I didn't want to have to depend solely on somebody else to be financially secure or successful. I made a multiple 6-figure income as a single mom of 5 kids so that I wouldn't have to depend on somebody else's financial 2 legs, if you will. That was important for me. Mm-hmm. And to the fact where the guy who ran the HR and wrote the checks at the time for the company I was helping, he said, "Did you get a prenup when we met?" And to be honest, I was kind of pissed at him, because I was like, a prenup is a safety net and an exit plan. Mm-hmm. Who gets married with an exit plan? Like, I totally disagree with that. And I was so happy to hear Elena Cardone say the same thing. I was like, dang, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
So I got really good at the skill of sales, which is a life skill that I believe everybody should have, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you work for somebody else or whether you're a parent. We use sales skills with our kids all the time.
All the time.
How do you see that happen?
What, using the sales skills on the kids? I don't know. It's just like, you got to package it right and use tactical empathy and trying to help them want it. And honestly, just, it's the basic gap analysis and sale where it's like, okay, this is where you want to go. This is where you are. Let's help you get there.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
I think it's important. When we say sales skills, I think the word sales has an inherently sticky, gross association with it, with most people.
Yeah.
And it's because most people think of sales as manipulation and trying to make a buck. Where I see sales as I'm going to help you get what you want.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And we use that with the kids, and we use that in our businesses, and we use that with each other all the time.
Probably you more than me, but yeah.
How do I help you get what you want? And that's I think that's the most important part. So let me ask you this before, it's okay. It's how do you as a dad, you've been a dad for how many years now? 3 years? Going on 4?
Going on 4.
Going on 4. How do you find, so you've heard me say, that's probably really annoying on the mic. You've heard me say before that I don't even like the term balance.
Yeah.
It's not a term that I like. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but I strive for harmony, where everything supports everything else. What have been the moments when you felt like you've nailed harmony? And what are the moments, probably more importantly, where you feel like you've missed the mark? Or we've missed the mark?
I mean, it's kind of hard to say. I feel like we do a pretty good job. I feel like I've missed the mark those times where I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay in the office and I'm going to keep grinding till midnight, even though I know that the kids are out there wanting to spend time with us.
Yeah.
That's when I've missed the mark, for sure. When I feel like we're doing really well is when it's like, yeah, we're working really hard, we're making lots of progress, but we're also doing good with making sure that we're taking care of the kids' needs.
Yeah. You said something the other day that made me sit up straight. And I don't know if you were being interviewed on another podcast or what it was, but you said to somebody, what was the line you used? I'm going to try to remember it. You said, I missed one of the girls' dance recitals and I promised I would never do that again. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
What was that about?
Oh, it was when I was talking about why I don't want to ever go back into cybersecurity consulting.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did for so long. And when a company gets hacked, it doesn't matter what you have going on. You have to help that company because that company is on fire.
Yeah.
But they can't even see the flames. And essentially you're the firefighter. You're the one that's there to go help put the flames out, to be able to boot the hacker out, fix everything, and help their business get back to going again. And when that happens, it doesn't matter if you have a dance recital or a karate tournament. You have to get on the phone and help that person. And within the first year of us being married, I missed multiple events because I had to be on the phone helping these clients. And that's when I was like, I can't keep doing this. And that's why we, made the decision that I was going to stop working when I did, because I wanted to be able to focus more on the family. I can work in the office 9 to 5 in our office here in the home and be done. And if something comes up, I can just walk away.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I can be present with the kids during the day, and then when they go to bed, 8 o'clock, I could go back in the office and keep working if I needed to. I'm not dependent on somebody else when I get the work done, compared to if I was still in consulting, it wouldn't matter. I would be tied to them.
Yeah. There were nights when we were laying in bed and you're like, okay, I'm on, oh gosh, I don't know if it was like an 18 or a 24-hour shift.
I'd be on call from Friday at 3 p.m. until Monday at 9 a.m. It was the entire weekend. And I usually had to do 1 to 2 of those every quarter.
Yeah.
And it was like, I can't do anything. I can't be more than 5 minutes from my desk at any given time for the entire weekend because something might happen.
And that's all night too.
Yeah.
You had to put your phone next to you and like set it on the loudest setting.
Just in case something happened.
Like you got no sleep that night.
No. Well, and there were times when it's like, oh yeah, someone got breached, and so I'm up all night because I'm on the on-call weekend, and on the on-call weekend, it's me and 2 other dudes. And so, yeah, the 3 of us are up all night because there's no one else to help us.
Man, I don't miss that at all.
No, I don't either. I'll never.
I loved your work ethic, and that's something that I was like, man, I know what I'm getting married into. This whole family has the world's best work ethic of anyone I've ever seen. Like, that was there.
Yeah.
But missing out on family events and missing out, I mean, that was out of balance. That was out of harmony.
Oh, yeah, it was. It definitely was. It was a great job when I was single.
Yeah, yeah.
It was perfect. It was like, oh, yeah, I've got nothing else going. Oh, I can't go out with friends tonight. Who cares? I'm going to grind, and I'm going to make some money right now, and I'm going to help somebody. I'm going to help this business that, like, if it wasn't for me being able to be here, they would be screwed.
Yeah, they would.
And that's not an ego thing. That's just, I'm grateful to be in that position to be able to help them.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So we were at Keaton's house a few weeks ago, and we got to listen to some incredible speakers. I mean, Dan Clark, for example, is one of my favorite speakers of all time to listen to. He's so awesome. And then Keaton just ripped all the Band-Aids off when he got up on stage. It's one of my favorite things about him. And I loved being able to be a part of that. And I loved being able to listen to like Manti Te'o tell his story. And there was this beautiful common theme of, at least one of my takeaways was check in with God all the time.
Yeah.
Check in with God. If you have a decision to make, check in with God. Check in with God. And I thought, how cool that at a non-religious event, that's so heavily part of every business conversation that was started, every presentation that was given was check in with God. Check in with God because he has your best interest. And I have this theology, personal gospel, if you will, that if I don't get what I want, it's because I'm getting something better. And we were at that event, and I don't know why. I just want to like touch on this moment that happened at the end because it was very humbling for me. And one of the key things that Keaton said at the very beginning of the event is if you don't know who you are, you're going to waste a lot of time making decisions that you could make like that if you knew who you were.
And if you knew what you wanted.
And if you know what you want.
If you don't know what you want, you'll take forever to make a decision. But if you know what you want, you'll make a decision like that because you know what you want.
And there's this principle that I saw online the other day that really resonated with this. Someone called it the red car principle. Mm-hmm. And did you see that same TikTok or whatever?
No, but I know what this is. Like, when you're thinking about, or you just bought, or you're thinking about buying a car that's red, you see red cars everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if someone says count the red cars, you'll see all the red cars, but then when it's over, and then they say, okay, how many white cars did you see? And it's like, I have no idea. I was only paying attention for the red ones.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's, I love that analogy. And someone yesterday, this week at Pete Vargas's event, said, I always use analogies that have to do with cars and have to do with food because everyone does both of those things. And I was like, that's freaking brilliant. So this idea of look for the red cars and you'll know how many there are on their way to work, but you won't be able to tell me how many white cars there are. And this is a point of leverage because that can work for you and it can work against you. If the red cars of your life are what's going to get you toward your goals, then you've got to have a filter that looks for those. But if you have a red car filter when the white cars are the thing that's going to get you toward your goal, then you're going to miss it. You're going to miss your opportunities. You're going to miss the moments. Even though they're there, you're not. Have you heard that?
Okay, it's still going. That was weird that it stopped.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine, I had to sniffle my boogers anyway. You're not going to cut that out, are you?
No, definitely not.
Thanks. So at the end of that phase, at the end of the event, I was like, what is it for you? What was your takeaway? Like, what was what's your motor running on? What's your why?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, I think for me, it's about trying to make sure that I can be the best example to the kids, and provide for you and for our family. And then I think just that idea of independence, that idea that I'm not depending on anybody else to be able to take care of this family. That it's me. I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw another social media post. I think it was Layla Hormozi, who I really love what they put out. The Hormozis are
they're
awesome.
fantastic.
And I love that they show up together and that they're a power couple. I actually don't know if they're parents or not. I don't think they are.
No, I don't believe so.
But I love the way they synergize together. And Grant and Elena are another power couple that I love to watch synergize and do business together. That I just admire that so much. And I'm taking as many pages from those books as I can, but also writing my own book on that, right? Metaphorically speaking. I'm sure one day a physical book will come out on couples in business. Thank you for kicking the tripod.
Thank you for kicking the tripod. Sophie, go sit down. Go sit down. Go. No. Hey, out. Go.
Pillow.
Go sit down.
Good girl. Okay, so yeah, I'm watching all these couples do this. And Layla said this thing that says, there is never a self-made millionaire. And the Hormozis, I think, are really good at taking common concepts, vernaculars, and saying, no, it's not actually that way. And sometimes I agree with it, and sometimes I disagree with it. And when she said, no, there's never a self-made millionaire, this is one of those that I agree and disagree with. I agree with it. Well, let me start with how I disagree with it. I think that there's a danger in saying that because of what you just said. Because when you become a millionaire on your own, you can say, I did this. I put these elements together. I did the hustle. I did the 2 a.m.s. I did the grind, and I pushed it, and it would not have happened without me. And that's the element of self-made millionaire. Yeah. But what I think she's trying to say is that you never can do it on your own. You can't do it without a support system. Yeah. You can't do it without people that aren't also enrolled in your vision. You can't do it without relying on other people. So what do you think the difference is when you can say, oh, I can do this on my own, versus like, I can't do it alone? How does that work?
This is the hard part, the hard truth, okay? The hard truth is your support system is interchangeable. You are not.
Okay, go into that.
So it's hard to say it, right? But the fact is, a CEO, it doesn't matter who that is. You can go find another CEO. Your COO, the kid on the phone that's making the sales for you, the person that's boxing your books for you to get shipped out. All those people, as sad as it is to say, the harsh reality is those people are replaceable. And you are not. And so while we want to act as a team, this is what I love about, I wish I could remember the name of the book off the top of my head. It's the Netflix book.
I know which one you're talking about. It's not, is it The Goal?
No, it's not. Anyway, the book by the guy that is the CEO of Netflix.
Yeah.
He says, so many small businesses.
Is it Good to Great?
No, it's not.
I'm going through my book Rolodex. I'll find it and put it in the description for you.
But he says so many small businesses make the astronomical mistake of having that attitude amongst everybody of we're a family.
I saw a meme the other day that said, we're a family. It's Michael Scott shaking his boss's hand, and then it's like me applying to 30 other families this month.
Exactly, right? We're not a family. We're a team.
Yeah.
And just like on a professional sports team, every single person is replaceable and tradable.
You see it in the NFL all the time.
NFL, NBA, MLB.
All the time.
And it's nothing
There's 35
personal.
People warming the bench for every 5 people on the field.
And it's nothing personal. But it's like, you know what? It was the best move for... Oh, that's annoying.
That's all right.
Well,
fun parts of entrepreneurship.
It stopped recording partway through that conversation about businesses are a team, not a family.
Yeah.
So
that 20 minutes that we just shared, it's out in the ether, never to be captured.
it was a great conversation we had.
It was a really good conversation.
Wow.
So,
Anyway.
okay, we were talking about a team, not a family.
Yes.
And how some people get to stay and some people, get to graduate, and what does that look like and how does it feel, and how important it is to find out. And maybe this is good that we get a second recording of this, because I feel like it's really important to underscore how an exit happens, because the how matters.
Yeah.
People can make an exit and it can feel like a graduation, and people can make an exit and it can feel like you burned a bridge.
Well, yeah. So if you have this attitude of, oh, I could do this better, I could, they're not doing anything right here, and so I'm going to leave and I'm going to do this on my own. Yeah, it's going to be a negative experience for everybody.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, and I think the more that you focus on the problems rather than identifying solutions. I know that I have found the worst relationships when I have complained. I have my relationships have suffered the most when I have complained about the relationship instead of looked for a solution. And that book that you shared with me, Radical Candor, has been one of my favorite resources in terms of creating relationships, because every problem that you will ever experience inside of your business ever comes down to your relationship. Even if you have a technical issue in your in your company where the CRM didn't work or whatever, it is a person-to-person relationship that will get that fixed. And if you don't have a good person-to-person relationship, those problems will just be exacerbated, and drama will be created on top of that. Like, I remember one of my favorite conversations at one of the jobs I used to work at was with a marketing director who hadn't been there very long. But we got to get so creative, and when something didn't work, gosh, there was no finger pointing, there was no blaming. It was like, oh, that trigger didn't happen. The emails never went out. There was one week where we were trying to push and push and push and push, and there were so many bottlenecks, and it just never happened. And it never turned into this finger pointing conversation. It turned into, okay, what do we do next? What do we do to make the boat go faster? How do we all row in the same direction? Whereas before that, oh my gosh, there were entire meetings where it was trying to point blame. Entire meetings with finger pointing and whose fault was it and how do we, like, the penalization, and it was awful. I hated those meetings, and I was like, am I going to be next? Am I going to be the subject of the next meeting where the finger pointing happens? I don't want to do that. I don't want to be involved in that. But when it all comes down to it, the solutions come because you have good relationships. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just on Kevin's podcast, all about relationships. That's his entire podcast. His entire series is all about how to create positive relationships. And it's so admirable to me that that's the focus. So when it comes to this concept of being a team member, and it's time to, either graduate or move on, how do you think that's the best way to go down? What's the best way to go down?
Well, if you're the team member and it's time to move on, I think your attitude is the most important part. Are you moving on because you feel like you can do it better, or are you moving on because you feel like it's your time? If you're moving on because you feel like you can do it better, you're not ready. You're not. Because if you feel like you can do it better on your own, you're probably wrong.
It sounds like a lot of ego.
It's probably a lot of ego, to be honest. And don't get me wrong, there are some circumstances where it's like, yeah, I could go do this better, right? But think about it. Most of the time, most people work at a business that has 50 to 100 to several thousand people that work there, and you're going to think you have the audacity to think I could go do this better. You freaking kidding me? Get over yourself.
Out of 200 brains, your one brain can outperform
Your
all of them?
one brain can do better than all these people combined, and you're going to do it overnight?
Yeah, good luck.
Get over yourself. Okay? Get over yourself. You might be able to run your department differently if your boss would let you. But you're not going to go run a company. You're not going to go start your company doing the same thing better overnight. Get over yourself.
That book that you are such a library of books. I've gotten most of my library from you, actually. That book that you recommended, How to Lead When You're Not in Charge, changed everything for me when I was an internal individual contributor.
Yeah.
That was one of the principles of that book was centered around solution finding.
Yeah.
How do we find a solution, and how can I run with it when I'm not the decision maker or whatever? And how do I lead when I'm not in charge? With title. That's the thing. You can lead when you're not in charge with title by just doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when it's time to graduate as an individual contributor, the best way to do it is to, again, like you said, not feel like you can do it better, but also, and again, this is what I wish a lot of our employees had done. We had one employee in particular who, no one will ever care as much about your business as you do. I think that's carte blanche, right? No one will ever care as much about your business as you do as the owner. And that's the way it should be, I think. But we had one employee that left, and I think that honestly, we have to take the accountability. I think it was our fault, and not to like say we suck, even though sometimes we totally do, but we learned so much. And what we learned is that we didn't set up the proper SOPs for a clean exit.
Yeah.
We really didn't. We did not set up the proper SOPs for clean exit. And so I don't think this employee technically, or even in any way intentionally had us by the balls. It's just when they left, things broke. Because and before they left, things were broken. And we didn't know because we did not have the proper oversight.
Yeah.
We bought a business. We were told things were in place that really, we took them at their word, and they weren't really in place. We put a manager in place and handed them the 3-ring binder with what we didn't know were broken systems. And when they left and we went in to fix it, we're like, oh my gosh, how long has this been broken?
Yeah.
And I honestly don't fault our old manager for that.
No, I honestly, the way that I look at it, I feel like that whole scenario came down to, I listened to a mentor that had, in hindsight now, I think not the best advice.
Yeah.
And that was, go out and find businesses that can be absentee run, that you can just let them run themselves. The reality is...
Which sounds great.
It sounds amazing. And it was like, oh yeah, totally. I'll go out and I'll buy 10 businesses on seller financing that'll run themselves, and I'll just bring in all this cash flow.
And do nothing.
And it was delusional.
Yeah.
It was delusional. I'm like, who? No, that's not a thing. And so when we bought this business and then things started falling apart, it was because we weren't giving it the attention that we needed to.
We didn't.
We weren't.
Frankly didn't. And we took the seller's word for it.
Yeah, that it was
things were
absentee
operating
run.
on their own. And I mean, of course the seller's going to tell you that because they want to sell their business.
Yeah,
right?
They want to sell their business. So when we say, oh, how many hours a week are you putting into this? And they say, oh, maybe 2 or 3. And you're like, oh, okay, so...
Add a 0 onto that, by the way.
Yeah. Like you're full of it.
And no shaming on them or anything. It's just, that's what we learned.
Yeah.
When you're buying a business and they say, oh, you need to put 1 to 1.5 hours in that, just add a 0 on the end of that.
Yep.
For you. Plan on putting 10 to 15 because the whole point in buying a business is that you want the business to outperform what it did before you bought it.
Yeah.
So that way you can exit that business.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to have to put your time, talents, and expertise into the business for a while. And then when it gets on its own 2 feet, you've hired the management that can run it better than you can. And that's the key to hiring, is hire people that are better at it than you. And most people can't stand that ego hit, right?
Yeah.
You want to hire people that are better at it.
Oh, yeah. If you're thinking that you're going to hire somebody that's not as good as you, you're just going to, one, overstress yourself thinking this person doesn't know what they're doing, and you're going to micromanage the hell out of them. And
Which
two,
nobody likes.
No. And two, you're never going to be able to actually get anything done.
Yeah.
So
Because you're going to have to be in
the
there
whole point of
correcting
it
the whole
is
time.
you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you.
Exactly.
That's the whole reason why I left one of my jobs, because, and this is not meant to toot my own horn, but I was at the top.
Yeah.
I couldn't grow anymore because I was the best at doing what I was doing in that job, in that department. I didn't have a mentor to help me continue to grow. The only way I could grow is if I figured it out on my own, and you can only grow so much that way. You need a mentor. And so I left and I went somewhere where, from being top dog to I was now way down here.
I love being the dumbest kid in the room.
But I was
It's my
learning.
favorite.
I learned so much when I went there.
Yeah.
It was the best move I ever made.
And the professional.
In that consulting world, yeah.
Yeah,
It was the best move I ever made.
Become the dumbest kid in the room.
Yeah.
That's what I freaking love. So when it's time for a person to graduate, I would say my best advice is just celebrate them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
From
so
a
glad
business
that-
standpoint,
yeah.
from the business standpoint, it's what can I do to help you?
Yep.
How can I best support you in this move?
Yep.
Like, congratulations.
Yeah.
And
Our
even if they're going to
manager-
go compete, right? Even if they're going to go compete and do the same thing with, who cares? There's so much business out there.
Collaboration is new currency.
Collaborate. Don't try and compete.
Yep.
This whole idea that, like, I've been locked down by non-compete clauses and employee
my
stuff.
gosh.
That is the most ridiculous thing, and in my opinion, the most scarcity mindset thing you can do. Like, are
agree.
you so afraid of what your one employee can go do that you're willing to tell that person that they can't go do something for themselves or with someone else because you're so afraid of that one employee? There's so much business out there. There's so many opportunities.
And you're going to gain customers that they're never going to gain.
Yeah.
Like I think about the big people in business. Like we live right next door to the big doTERRA warehouse,
Yeah.
right? Young Living is their direct competitor. How much better do they make each other by having that two different people
Yeah.
doing the same thing?
Yeah.
You know?
Back in the day, how much better was Apple because Microsoft was pushing them?
And Nikon and Canon.
Yeah.
And like, oh my gosh. So
If you
they
don't
are
have the
they are market
competition.
competitors.
Yeah, but if you don't have that competition, the growth isn't going to happen, for one.
Exactly.
And for two, there are so many people out there to buy a camera. Who cares if Sony steps in the picture?
Exactly. And they're doing amazing things.
Yeah.
It went from a video game company to cameras. And I was like, oh, bring it on.
Yeah.
Bring it on. You're going to make me better. Even if we never collaborate, the fact that that other company exists is going to make me better. Because guess what? They're going to make mistakes that I'm never going to make.
Yeah.
And I'm going to learn from that. And that's why monopolies are technically illegal for one of many reasons. It's not because the government has their best interests at heart. Don't get me wrong.
No,
But-
that's not why.
That's not why. But it's actually a service to us because we can learn so much when we are not like this non-compete, blah, blah, blah. No, have a competition. It's going to make you better. Better yet, have a collaboration. I'll never forget that time I was playing Carcassonne, and the first round was a competition. Who can gain more points and win? And then the second round, we made it a collaboration. How can I help the other person get more points? And the craziest thing happened. We doubled and tripled our scores. I still won.
Yeah, okay.
I did. I did. But I tripled my score, and so did the other person. And we both won bigger than we had done when we were trying to tear each other down.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. There's a difference between that. That's why I love watching the CrossFit Games and American Ninja Warrior, is that all of the competitors are cheering each other on.
Yeah.
I love that element of it. You're going to do your best because your only competition really is you. Everyone else is just a teacher.
Yeah. So when you have an employee leave, celebrate them,
Yeah.
offer to help, collaborate with them, do whatever you can with them. Because all it's going to do is grow you.
Yeah.
I mean, because even think about it from the little bit of the selfish standpoint, right? The little bit of the selfish standpoint of my employee just left, I'm going to help them. Like, okay, there's people are going to look positively upon you for helping the little guy. Right? That's only going to help
You're
you.
only going to help your reputation.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't do it just because it's going to help your
No, the
reputation.
energy will be felt.
That energy will be felt. But at the same time, it's like, why wouldn't I? There's only positive in it.
Yeah, exactly. Our
So what? They took 2 clients of yours. If your business is not in a good enough spot to be able to replace those 2 clients, you've got bigger problems.
yeah, and your employee was not the problem.
It was you.
It was you.
It was you. The fact that the employee took those 2 clients when they left and started their own thing, that shows that you were not doing a service to those 2 clients.
Exactly. Those
And
clients are
so
going to go where they're best served.
don't look at them as the enemy. Look towards yourself and be like, what the hell did I do wrong?
That's another book, Extreme Ownership.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How am I as a leader?
Yeah.
And I read that book. I read pages from that book probably on a monthly basis. And I go back to it and check myself. Where am I kicking my own butt as a leader? Where am I failing as a leader?
Yeah.
And I love going back. And as well as the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People in the Digital Age, I read a couple of pages from that book every month. Because I'm like, check myself. I'm not perfect. Far from it.
No.
How can I do better? And every time it's like so perfect and applicable to my situation.
Yeah.
So when you have it's not a family member, guys. It's not family. It's a team.
It's a team.
And there's so many lessons in just that one phrase. Even our family, and we are like with our children, we are a family. We will love them no matter what. But when we best function, it's because we're best functioning as a team.
Yeah.
And we're trying to help each other.
It's very different though, because our family
We don't
members,
kick people out of the family.
Our family members are not interchangeable. Yeah.
No, they're not interchangeable.
And that's the flaw in the thinking that a business runs like a family.
It's
because a family members are not interchangeable, but in a business they 100% are.
And you should know that.
Yes.
And everyone is interchangeable, and people will graduate, and they will leave, and people will come and go.
Yep.
And I can't hammer this point home enough. You're best served by helping other people get what they want. That's how you're going to get the most value in your business and in your life, is help other people get what they want. And the more people that you help, the more money you're going to make.
Yep.
The more people you help, the more money you're going to make. So that if you can help more than one person at a time, do that. And if you can help one person impactfully at a time, do that. And why not do both?
Yeah. Well, it's been good. It's been fun.
Yeah.
We had a couple of technical issues, so you'll see a couple of glitches, but it is what it is.
Weird.
Yeah.
That's kind of perfect, actually. Okay, so in the comments, if you want to see more from us, and if you want to ask us questions that we can answer for you on the next podcast, or even on like an Instagram Live or whatever, we're on all the social platforms. If you have questions for one or both of us, ask them in the comments, and we will get those out to you in a video, and we want to do more for you. So if there's anything that you need to grow your business, if there's stages that you need to be on, if there's podcasts that you need to be on, whatever you need to grow, let us know in the comments. We want to hear for you. Take care. We'll see you next time.